Reba, seeing the genuine pain in Barbara Jean's eyes, felt a pang of guilt. She had been so caught up in her own judgments, her own insecurities, that she had failed to see the bigger picture. "Look, Barbara Jean," Reba began, her voice softer now, more vulnerable. "The truth is, I think I went down to the gym, almost hoping that I'd find you doing something wrong. You know, anything. So I could feel superior to you and your skinny butt, so I'm sorry." Barbara Jean stared at her. Then a slow, triumphant smile spread across her face. "Sorry. Yeah, this is great. For the first time since we've known each other, you want to be me." Reba quickly shook her head. "I don't want to be you." Barbara Jean's smile widened. "I know. It's even better. You want to look like me." Reba sighed. A small, genuine smile gracing her lips. The tension had broken, replaced by a fragile understanding. She knew Barbara Jean was right, at least in part. The new pretty Barbara Jean had indeed stirred up something within her, a dormant insecurity she hadn't realized was there. "Hey, where are you going?" Reba asked as Barbara Jean turned to leave. "Just gonna go grab something to eat," Barbara Jean replied, a playful glint in her eye. "I'll see you next year." Reba chuckled, shaking her head. The woman might be thin, but her appetite, it seemed, was eternal. Later that night, the house was quiet, save for the soft glow of the television. Ben was engrossed in a cartoon, occasionally glancing at Van, who was flipping through channels. "Hey buddy, what are we watching?" Van asked, trying to engage him. "No, we're not," Ben replied, not looking away from the screen. "Wanna rock, paper, scissors for it?" Van challenged, a mischievous grin on his face. "Fine, let's go," Ben said, already forming his hand into a fist. "You're gonna pick scissors, aren't you?" Van laughed. "Get out." Just then, Cheyenne walked in, looking thoughtful. She approached Van, a shy smile on her face. "Hey, honey," Van said, pulling her onto his lap. "Hey, I need to talk to you." Cheyenne nestled against him. "Oh, honey, I just got the TV." "Well," Van began, his voice serious, "I started thinking that maybe you don't think of me as new pretty, because I don't do enough to keep your interest." Cheyenne looked up at him, her eyes. "No, honey, you're way hot. Guilty?" Van chuckled, kissing the top of her head. "But anyway, I thought that maybe I should, change my look every now and then just to keep things fresh." So he reached behind his back and produced a bright pink, curly wig. "I bought a wig." Cheyenne stared at the wig, then burst out laughing. "Thank you." She reached for it, but Van gently stopped her. "Cheyenne, put that down. Listen to me. I think it's a good thing that when I look at you, I don't see the beautiful girl with the killer bod. I see my wife, and I'm attracted to her whether she's all dressed up, ready to go out, or just sitting on the couch wearing those washed-up flannel pajamas." Cheyenne's eyes welled up. "Really?" "Yeah," Van said softly, tracing the line of her jaw. "You're beautiful to me, because of who you are." Cheyenne leaned into his embrace, a warmth spreading through her chest. "I feel kind of stupid." Van kissed her forehead. "That's also who you are, and I love it. Come on." He stood up, pulling her with him. "Where are we going?" Cheyenne asked, a hopeful glint in her eyes. "Oh, we are going upstairs," Van whispered, his voice husky. Cheyenne exclaimed, then paused, a playful smirk on her face. "Hold on. I thought you didn't want me to wear that." She gestured to the pink wig still clutched in Van's hand. Van grinned, a mischievous twinkle in his eyes. "Sometimes, I want to feel new pretty." Chapter 1. The Ghost of Pancakes Past. The kitchen, usually the vibrant heart of Reba's home, felt eerily hollow on that particular Saturday morning. A single, forgotten coffee cup sat on the counter, a faint ring staining its porcelain base, a testament to a hurried departure. The air, typically thick with the comforting scent of frying bacon or the sweet promise of pancakes, now carried only the ghost of stale breadcrumbs and the lingering, almost accusatory, aroma of an emptied sugar bowl. Reba, her auburn hair still slightly disheveled from sleep, surveyed the scene with a practiced, weary eye. Her two youngest, Jake and Kyra, were still asleep, blissfully unaware of the culinary catastrophe that had befallen their pantry. Van, her former son-in-law, currently residing with them, was likely still in bed, pretending to be asleep to avoid the morning chores. And Ben, her grandson, bless his observant little heart, had already delivered his grim report. "She's eaten everything, Mom. Even the air in the cereal box feels thinner." She, of course, was Barbara Jean. Barbara Jean Hart, Reba's ex-husband Brock's current wife. A woman who, for years, had been a gravitational force in Reba's orbit, pulling her into unexpected dramas and comedic clashes. But lately, Barbara Jean had become less of a force and more of a void. A very hungry void. Reba sighed, pushing a stray strand of hair from her face. It wasn't just the food, it was the principle of the thing. Barbara Jean had always been a woman of appetites. Yes, but this was a sustained, almost methodical, consumption. It was as if she were trying to fill an emptiness that no amount of free pizza or forgotten donuts could ever truly satisfy. Reba remembered the dream she'd had that morning. A chilling premonition. She'd seen herself, gaunt and skeletal, yet imbued with a strange, unsettling power. Then, Barbara Jean's voice, saccharine and triumphant, piercing the dreamscape. "Yoo-hoo, I'm here! And I'm thin!" The reality had been almost worse. Waking up to the actual, chirpy declaration from downstairs had felt like the universe itself was playing a cruel joke. The nightmare, indeed, continued. Reba's life had been a series of reinvention, from a young, hopeful bride to a single mother navigating a tumultuous divorce. She had always found a way to stand tall. Her kids, Cheyenne, Jake, and Kyra, were her anchors, her reason for fighting through hard times. She had built a life, a career, and a home that, while often chaotic, was fiercely hers. She was a survivor, a woman with gentle hands and the heart of a fighter. But even fighters had their vulnerabilities, and lately, those vulnerabilities felt exposed. She pulled out the blender, a relic from a short-lived health kick several years prior. If Barbara Jean was going to embrace a new healthy lifestyle, then perhaps Reba should too. Not because she needed to be thin, but because she needed to feel in control. She needed to feel relevant. She rummaged through the sparse contents of the refrigerator, finding a wilting banana, a handful of spinach, and a carton of almond milk. A power smoothie it would be. A green, slightly bitter testament to her resolve. As the blender whirred to life, a flurry of footsteps announced the arrival of Van and Ben. Ben, ever the early bird, usually by choice, and Van, usually by necessity, having been nudged out of bed by Ben's incessant chatter. "Hey, Mom, you making some pancakes?" Ben asked, his voice laced with the hopeful innocence of a child who still believed in Saturday morning miracles. Reba shook her head, pouring the emerald liquid into 3 glasses. "No, I'm making everyone a power smoothie, and this afternoon, I'm taking a power walk." Van, ever the cynic, choked on his water. "Power walk. Don't forget your power cane." Ben, quick to defend his grandmother, though not without a touch of his own mischievousness, added, "Van, that is not nice. If Mom does aerobics, she could shatter her hip." Reba silenced them with a look. "And yet, in the blink of an eye, I can make you both homeless." The threat, though delivered with a dry wit, carried a genuine undertone. She loved them fiercely, but she also ran a tight ship, and lately, the ship felt like it was listing. The front door, without preamble, burst open, and in walked Barbara Jean. She was a vision. Indeed, her usually bright, patterned clothes had been replaced by form-fitting athletic wear that accentuated a figure Reba hadn't seen on her in years. Her usually frizzy blonde hair was pulled back in a chic ponytail, and her face, usually flushed from exertion or excitement, glowed with a healthy, almost ethereal radiance. She was thin. Alarmingly, enviably thin. "Hey, everybody, I'm here," and Barbara Jean began, her voice a little louder, a little more confident than usual. Reba, unable to help herself, pushed a plate of leftover donuts towards her. "Oh, shut up and have a donut." It was a reflex, a way to puncture the bubble of Barbara Jean's newfound self, and perhaps to alleviate her own burgeoning anxiety. Barbara Jean merely laughed, a light, tinkling sound that grated on Reba's nerves. "Oh, Reba, you're not still trying to lose weight by drinking those power smoothies, are you? Jordan, my trainer, says that those are loaded with hidden carbs." Reba brisked. "Barbara Jean, I am all for adopting a healthier lifestyle. But seriously, I mean, there has to be some sort of..." She trailed off, noticing Van and Ben, their eyes wide with unconcealed admiration. openly staring at Barbara Jean. It was a stare Reba knew